transforming education systems for sustainable development. It's a network of research projects, about 76, that are housed within 4 countries, that is Rwanda, Somalia, India, and South Africa. And of course, co-housed or coordinated through Bristol, the University of Bristol. These projects, the 76 I'm talking about, are funded by the Global Challenge Research Fund, the UK fund. Out of the 76, there are 14 projects that were funded in Rwanda. What are the objectives of the TESF? One is to gather an interdisciplinary team of researchers so that they are able to generate transformative practices that can inform research that actually transforms community. Each of the 14 projects is very unique. They are projects that are into climate action, trying to empower communities to adopt appropriate skills, attitudes, and knowledge so that they're able to contribute towards positive climate action.
The project is one of the 14 projects under Transforming Education for Sustainable Futures Rwanda Hub. One of the things we did was to train people to have capacity to build their resilience against climate shocks. Those climate shocks are dry droughts and dry spells, specifically in this region. And what we did was, first of all, to teach them, to empower them with knowledge of how to translate climate information provided by Meteo Rwanda.
Kuri ino site nahuguye abahinzi 250, mbahugura mu guterera ku gihe, mbahugura mu kumenya imihindagurikire y'ikirere, mbahugura kumenya imbuto igihe yerera bijyanye n'imvura twabwiwe, mbahugura ku myaka ijyanye n'agace kacu, imbuto twajya kugura yatugeza ku musaruro mwiza.
You had projects actually that trained people on functional literacy, especially in the city, saving schemes, small-scale trade, appropriate financial literacy skills. All these are projects that we see TSF as having had great impact.
Umushinga twahisemo kubera yuko twabonaga umujyi wa Kigali ugenda ukura cyane, ariko tugasanga abaturage bakenye badashobora kujyana nawo. Biba ngombwa yuko tureba ikintu gituma ese niki twafasha abaturage kugira ngo nabo ubwabo bashobora kujyana n'umujyi wa Kigali. Twafasha abaturage 30, tureba imibereho yabo, tureba ukuntu imeze, tuganira nabo ku mishinga bakora kugira ngo bateze imbere imibereho yabo.
Kwishyura abana ku ishuri byaranguraga bajyagamo ibirarane kandi byari 3,000 bikananira kubyishyura, ariko ubu na mituweli nkishyura izindi zigiye kurangira, ariko ubu ntangirira ku gihe. Amashuri ndarayishyuye ubu, umwana mwirero ndamwishyurira, ibintu bigenda neza kandi n'abana bakabona ibyo kurya.
This project targeted women and youth in the rural area. As I said, it is a community digital literacy project. It was important because in the 21st century that we are in, it is very important that youth and women are able to use, they have digital literacy. By digital literacy, I mean the ability to use computer and internet. So these women and youth, they were doing some small projects, and it was very important for them to be able to use computer and internet to improve their product.
Kumenya kudoda byari ngombwa ko baduha imashini, baduha na telefone. Nukuvuga ngo telefone imfasha mu kwamamaza ibikorwa nakoze. Nko mu gihe cya modeli, wenda umukiraje akambwira ati nge nta modeli nzi nyereka, ahita amwereka muri telefone.
We have a One Tree, One Child project, OCOT, as an example. It's a project that actually empowered children in a school in Kanombe to be able to plant trees around the school. Now, this helps students to learn other skills beyond numeracy and literacy.
When we were thinking about climate change and actually the student protest movements that were happening globally, and we were reflecting inside our team that in Rwanda, the people who suffer most from the effects of climate change are the people living on the countryside, farmers, and other people in the food industry, yet they are the ones who typically don't have a voice. And so doing student protests with the university or with some schools that are elite schools in Kigali, you could go on the street and say climate change is a bad thing, but that didn't seem to be so relevant for really what is happening in Rwanda. So we thought of creating a project that is actually involving the people who are affected by climate change directly. So we go in the community, and then rather than protesting, we thought of a project of constructing a solution, of building on the solution to climate change and how children in the community could help with that.
Ubutumwa naha abantu bazanye umushinga wo gutanga ibiti ni ukubashima kuko bidufitiye akamaro kenshi cyane.
Umushinga wo gutera ibiti by'ukuri umushinga mwiza twungukiyemo byinshi kandi tuzakomeza kungukiramo byinshi kubera ko ubusanzwe igiti ni ubuzima. Iyo ufite ibiti ufite amahumbezi, environnement nziza, ibyo bizatuma n'abanyeshuri bacu biga neza kubera ayo mahumbezi, ndetse no kuba bazi n'ubwoko bw'ibiti nabyo biri muri science, nabyo barabyiga. Urumva ko materiel didactique tuzajya tuyifatira hafi. So ni byinshi rero, hari imvura, hari igiti gifite akamaro kenshi.
You had kids planting gardens, planting vegetables, cultivating around the school, planting vegetables, and this contributes to school feeding, which is a government program, but also it contributes to the global SDG agenda of health, fighting malnutrition and all that.
We wanted to contribute to the school feeding program that the government of Rwanda have been supporting, but the school feeding program had some issues, like most schools couldn't afford vegetables, and so we started school gardening to supplement on the food that the children have, which is more nutritious. Other than the beans and the posho they eat, we wanted them to add something like cabbages, spinach on the menu. Also, we wanted to empower the schools to implement the project themselves so that at least it could cut some costs, the ones they've been using to buy food outside. So, and also they can share with the families around, the vulnerable families here.
Mbere kano karima k'igikoni kataraza hano ku ishuri ntabwo twabonaga imboga zihagije kandi tukabona imboga z'ubwoko bumwe gusa, ariko aho kamaze kuzira ubu dusigaye turabona imboga z'ubwoko butandukanye kandi zihagije.
You had other projects that helped families in conflict to live together in harmony. We've worked with Haguruka on one of the projects to transform families that were originally living under conflicts in the north. The families will give you testimonies. 40 people, 20 couples who were almost at the verge of separation, fighting and all that. Now the families are settled, and the kids who had dropped out of school because of family conflicts are now into school.
we trained couples. We intended to empower women, but we cannot empower women without empowering men who are suspected of being perpetrators. So we trained 20 couples, that's 40 participants, around communication. How do they communicate? How they can resolve conflict in case they conflict or they have dispute at home.
Umushinga utaraza twakoraga mu makimbirane, umaze kuza uratwigisha, uraduhugura, uduha n'ingereranyo, uratubwira ngo iyo ufitanye n'umuntu amakimbirane yakubwira ngo wenda uri mu makosa ukamusubiza nabi, ngo uba wubatse itafari ukagerekaho irindi.
Mu mihigo twesheje kubera umutekano wari umaze kuboneka, twari dufite umwana wiga mu mashuri y'imyuga, kuko ubwo kumwigisha mu ishuri byari byaramaze kuba impitagihe, gerageza kumushyira mu ishuri ry'imyuga. Yararangije kubera umutekano n'ubwumvikane tumugurira icarahani kuko twari twabyesheje mu mihigo.
We are trying to capitalize on the gains of this project so that we further cement, we further strengthen the university's presence within communities. As a teacher, as a university staff, I'm very proud that through these projects I could see the university going down to the communities that actually it is meant to serve. What are the legacies of these projects? One is to continuously strengthen the university community partnerships. Two, to engage in decolonizing research. So we want to engage with communities, we want to establish partnerships, we want the communities to feel that the university is there for them and they are there for the university. We want to break the barriers that have traditionally characterized learning institutions. And that's one of the legacies, that's something that we uphold dearly. One of the characteristics of these projects is that right at the start, we were guided by the philosophy of working, researching with communities, not researching on communities. And that helps communities to own the research products. We involve them into designing the tools. We designed the tools together. We collected the data together. We analyzed together. And the impact of the research, we're going to be disseminating together. We learn along each other with an understanding that there is nobody that has monopoly over knowledge. As a university, I think, as the College of Education precisely, because these projects were housed under the College of Education, URCE. As a College of Education, I think we are beginning to rethink the concept of teaching and learning. Because again, there is teaching within the walls of the university, but there's a lot of teaching that happens in communities. There is a lot of teaching and learning that we also as teachers get when we engage communities into this transformative journey. And if there is a lot of things that we learn when we understand fully that teaching is meant to improve the human condition.